changes the whole way we look at things for the future of the Montreal Canadiens, as we have an article outlining a potential trade for a young Russian winger to bring to the Montreal Canadiens from Columbus. But there's a wrench in that situation that just makes it very questionable. We have to dive into the trade talk surrounding Xhekaj, who is now available from Columbus. But not just that, the big thing is there has been a report about Hutson doing a specific thing in practice that indicates that his position may not be as certain in the D-corps as what we once thought. We got to break all of that down. Plus, we're going to take a look at the Habs heading into next year, how we improved and how we will fare in the Eastern Conference, and another little look with you guys talking about the goalie situation, revisiting some comments from Jeff Gorton on not only Jacob Fowler, but Monty, and all the great stuff there. All that coming up on this live episode of Habs Digest. Monday lives, Jesse, are just so wonderful, especially when we have some talks around the league of maybe some extraneous trade talks here and there. So little subtle things about Hutson doing a certain thing in practice. That's a fun day, but I love being here every single Monday with these fans.
In the dog days of summer. And I mean, before you know it, Josh, like, I just can't believe how quick time is flying by. It seems like just yesterday the Stanley Cup was awarded to the Florida Panthers, but here we are, like, in just before we know we're going to get into August, right? And we know what that means. Like, training camps are right around that corner, really. So again, just so crazy to see how this offseason is starting up. So much amazing things to really kind of look forward to. And obviously, we want to celebrate that here with the fans, because Hughes is doing some amazing work. While we don't feel that's quite done yet, we need to stay ahead of this, Josh, because I mean, this season's coming sooner than we realize.
Yo, it is, and that's the thing, Marco. Our first chat of the day. Thank you for being here again, Mark, Frank, Wazo Premier, and all the other people here in the chat. Hello, all you awesome Habs fans. Do you still need a hockey fix as bad as I do? We certainly do. He said we all look forward to the show on Mondays. Hit like and subscribe. Hey, hit the free like button down below. If you want to support us, it's one click. You see the number go up. You want to share this to other Habs fans. You want to get more people in here. Let's get them in there. Hello, from Joe the Snoop from Sydney, Australia. We got people from all over the world. Hello, everyone. So excited to get going today. This might be a bit of a quicker stream today, so if you got questions, get them in fast. We're looking for a lot of interaction today. Might be some polls here, Jesse. And you know what? Let's just start with the goalie situation. It was a super fun topic to talk about yesterday, and if you guys didn't catch it yesterday, go check out that video. But we want to revisit that here with some quotes that Jeff Gorton had, and we can talk a bit about Monty, who, Jesse, I don't have the picture here, but again, we've seen him over the last 3 years, top 5 in goals saved above expected, and top 5 in goals saved above expected per game. The dude has been one of the best goalies in the league recently, but Gorton was also saying, look, we're in the position where our team's at. If somebody comes in and wins a job, I think we'll always look at that, try to promote from within, let some of these young guys play when they're ready. So if they're ready, they want to show us they're ready, we always will make the necessary moves to accommodate them. And of course, praise Jacob Fowler, saying, look, he's confident. It never really looked like a big jump. Looked like he can handle it, no problem. When we're looking at the future of the goalie situation, first of all, Jesse, I feel like I need to hear from the fans. How underrated do you think Sam Montembeault has become with all this? But also, Jesse, with the more and more talk from Jeff Gorton, the more I'm excited to see maybe not a full-time shift in goalies, but like, if our goalies are playing good, if Fowler's playing good, I think he could just move his way up quicker than we expect, just based on the mentality we're hearing from our front office.
And that's what's very exciting. And I know with Fowler, you got to pick the right time for him to come onto this team, and you need to be very strategic about that. But again, like, I am just so excited at the prospect of, again, pun intended, when that is going to be, because I feel like this is just going to be a guy that is going to light it up. Yeah, I feel like if there is an injury, like to either most likely like a Monty or Dobeš, like Kakinen's probably going to go up so that you still get Fowler that time to get those starting reps in Laval. Because again, you want to be smart of when that key time to bring him up, but like, just there is a world, Josh, where we're seeing him come play a game for the Montreal Canadiens next, if not just being on that bench. There might, while I think might make sense, Kakinen at first, not that he's ranked higher in the depth chart, but just to get his reps in. Like, when he does come, he's going to want to take it by storm, right? Like, this guy's a gamer. He's going to be gunning for that number 1 spot. He knows he's young. He really doesn't care. But again, I think we do need to put a little bit of respect on Monty, because we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're happy with Fowler and what he's doing, but a lot of these stats have been coming out now that the season's done, and kind of some analysts have been looking over, like, even the last couple, like 3 years of like goals expected per game, where like Monty is coming number 5 in that list, like above Ottinger, above, Vasilevsky, like some of the best goalies in this league, just showing that amount of consistency, that it's not a flash in the pan, that really Monty's doing this night in, night out. I think it's amazing. Like, he's starting to get a little bit more of his praise here, like in Montreal. Montembeault, we're recognizing for that fire that he brings to his game. And it's nice to see outside of Montreal him getting his praise. But I think Josh, like in Montreal right now, like us as Habs fans, we need to start putting some more respect on what Samuel Montembeault is really doing for this team.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like it's easy to sleep on it, but this dude played 62 games for us last year. And yeah, he had the occasional softie, but like, what goalie doesn't, right? I feel like everyone has those. And to see him consistently at the top of these advanced metrics, like, he should have allowed way more goals than he did, but he didn't. And he made so many spectacular saves. Jakub Dobeš did the same kind of thing. It was unbelievable to see. And we got a poll running right now. Will Jacob Fowler play at least one game for the Montreal Canadiens this year? Because we're saying, like, look, the goal, like Jeff Gorton said, is not to have Monty play into the 60s again this year. So you want to have Dobeš play at least, 20-ish games this year, 25 games. And hey, again, if there's an injury, if someone's tired, it's a back-to-back with like a minor injury, a guy like Fowler could come up. And while I agree with you that Kaiden is probably first in line, especially if it's like a quick thing just to bring up for one game, Kaiden would have to pass through waivers. Like if he's having a great year in Laval, you almost might be afraid to bring him up for a game if you know you have to send him back down through waivers because another team could snag him. Fowler, you don't have to worry about it. So it's really interesting. And we actually, Jesse, is we're going to end the poll here now. Most fans, 65% say yes, Jacob Fowler will get at least a game with Montreal this year. And I love the faith that the fans are putting in Jacob Fowler because he has shown so many good signs already. Cannot wait for it. Want to dive back into the chat here. Take a look at what some people are saying. Good evening, Alex saying, just finished watching Lane Hutson clips. I can't wait until the season. Oh, same. I've been watching there's a post, I think it was Snipe City on YouTube, all 66 Lane Hutson points. I've watched it. I've watched so many different ones. Mark saying Monty's beginning to get the recognition he deserves all around the league. And we also have, Jesse, our first now super chat, but our first channel membership of the stream, Vision Montreal. Welcome. Thank you for becoming a channel member. And hey, send your new channel member emojis because we got some great stuff there. We got our Lane Train, we got our Line, we got our Chef Hughes, we have so many more. So guys, all channel members want to see those go. One thing before we move off of this, Jesse, like we talk about Monty, we know how good he's been in international competition. I know there's a lot of talk about Team Canada coming up next year. I feel like he's got to be on that short list for, being there for the Four Nations, being that third string goalie. Had an amazing World Championships 2 years ago where he led them to gold and was like the best goalie in the whole tournament. Yeah, I think there's a world where this dude could, just because of that resume, make it onto Team Canada, even if, a lot of people are not penciling him in as of yet. Though some people are, I will say.
I think Samuel Montembeault will make it. You have to feel like making on the Four Nations last year mattered, and you have to feel like his chances are just going to improve this year with the Montreal Canadiens being a better team. Again, we're going to get into this later on the live of why that really is, what is making this Habs team so much better, and how that's really going to affect Monty going forward. Obviously, having that backup goalie they can go to right from the beginning in Dobeš is going to make a huge difference, just in the fact of Monty knowing I actually can take a break sometimes. That's okay. Like, Cayden Primeau was just really a roller coaster of ride. It's hard to say that, he ever truly got settled here in Montreal. So I think that's just going to make a huge difference going forward. And absolutely. And not only that, I think that there's a world where I'm not saying that Montembeault is the starter, but kind of slightly moving his way up the depth chart. I think he's going to have a good opportunity to do that this upcoming year.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I think after the Four Nations, I'm okay with Binnington at least being the penciled in starter. That dude was awesome. As much as I don't necessarily like him as a player, he was amazing for us for Team Canada. So that's a great stuff there. But yeah, leave your thoughts on all that down below because we got to quickly transition into some other stuff. And Jesse, you teased it. Like, this team has just been getting so much better, and there have been a lot of articles, a lot of videos talking about just how much better we've gotten, but I wanted to take a look into it, actually, and just kind of look at this depth chart, and just analyze it with the fans, right? And again, moves are not necessarily done. We're looking for this secondary market to open. We're starting to see it a bit with Xhekaj, though that's a bit of a weird situation, and again, I promise we'll dive into Xhekaj in an article that suggests Montreal trade for him a bit later, because that one's a bit nuts, and again, Lane Hutson, too, again, he might not even be playing left D. That's what's making us kind of change our mind about what we look at in our D core. But again, that's coming up later. Just, Jesse, purely off of what you see here with the names, to me, the name power, right? The star power, but like scoring power that this team has over last year, a team that, we said could score some goals. We were clutch, but we needed to score more. We needed to stop more goals. Like, still, all the same, we added some nice guys up front who can play some decent defense. Joe Veleno's not that bad defensively. We did lose Dvorak and Armia, but Bolduc is very physical as well. We added Noah Dobson, who, again, by the advanced analytics, has a really good defensive side. We're getting an extra year of Guhle in his development. Just purely looking at this team and knowing these guys getting better, like, I start to wonder if this team can't start pushing 100 points this year. I know that's crazy because so many other teams are getting better, but like, what aspect stands out to you the most, maybe, as to how we got better? Because I feel like I could pick 5 or 6 here.
Demidov.
Yeah,
that's where I'm
easy.
definitely going to start. I think that's just going to have, again, an exponential effect on the rest of this roster. Like, when you start doing improvements to a team, it stops becoming like in isolation. Like, one addition here, it's not just affecting that with the Montreal Canadiens here at forward on that second line. That's affecting the first line. It's affecting the third line. It's affecting Montembeault because he's getting run support in terms of goals. Like, it's just throughout the, your D is getting a little bit more of a rest because you're obviously much more in the offensive zone. Like, it's just Matheson's not making as many mistakes because he doesn't have to be on the ice that long. Like, there's just so many here, Josh. But the big thing is, in the last 4 years, since Kent Hughes has been general manager of the Montreal Canadiens, we've seen steady improvement, not 1 year, 2 years, every single year that he's been at the realm. Steady improvement is really the key word. Steady improvement till this Montreal Canadiens team, till we get to Lord Stanley, baby. Like, that's the goal here going forward. Of course, when you got guys like Nick Suzuki, looking like, for me, he got 89 points last year. Yeah. He's cracking 90 points this year, for sure. I got Cole. Again, he was right at the cups of 40 goals. He's doing that this year. He's getting his 40. I think he might get a little bit of PP1 opportunities. Probably a game changer here. But again, besides that, the just natural growing of the great core, like, we knew that. But again, it's adding the Demidov. It's adding a full season of Carrier, which had a huge effect. Dobesh, having that effect. Line A, again, in the lineup here. Hutson on PP1. Like, there's a lot of factors here, like, all coming together, again, to really make this special. And again, it's that depth at all these different positions, which is the big one there again. And Dobesh, I think, is an underrated one in terms of goalies there. I mean, I have Demi at 60-plus points. I got Slav anywhere from 63 to 67 points. I got Line, he can get 30 goals, for sure. I think this year coming up. Hutson, we're talking about 70-plus points there. And Dobson, I'm having him anywhere from 60 to 65 coming back here. So I'm just seeing some solid improvements just throughout the lineup here going forward. We're going to need to share the love because there's going to have some options, but I see a lot of guys just thriving while still playing that team game.
And I love what you said there about so many guys getting that 60-point mark, right? Like that's insane to think about. How many teams have that many guys where you feel going into a season, it's really possible they'll get this many points, right? Because, like, Lane Hutson, of course, coming off a 66-point year. Dobson had a down year, but again, with the style Montreal plays, I could see him getting back to 55, 60 points. Even a guy like Guhle could push maybe 35, 40 points if things go right for him, right? But, like, Slav is one of these big ones too. When I look at the roster, I actually just put up a poll in chat. Love to see all of you. Just put Suzuki, Caufield, Slafkovsky, and Line A. I could only put 4. Which one's going to have the biggest jump in points? And look, I figured most people would answer Slav, but I also think Slav too, Jesse. And I think that this dude, he's going to get like a, 10 to 15 point jump at least, which is nothing to just, shake a stick at. It's something great. Like, he's got 51 this past year. There's a world where he can get mid-60s. That's what I would project as well. There's a world where he could get 25, 30 goals. Like, I genuinely believe that if he's playing with Suzuki and Caufield. And, like, with the odds of Caufield getting 40 goals this year, again, with maybe, we don't know if he'll get more power play time, without Line A, but I think regardless, getting Caufield more used to playing with a Line A on the power play matters as well. And I think it's just, again, like, these guys' abilities to play with each other. I got Caufield, again, 75 points this year. I think it's real. I don't know if he'll get point per game, but we don't need him to, right? If he can score 35, 40 goals, that's perfect for this team, right? And Suzuki, again, we're talking 90-plus points, and there's so many guys that we could pick for this. But again, to go back to your first point, Ivan Demidov is the guy. He's the guy that's going to make the biggest difference on this forward core. You'd love to say Slav's jump will make the biggest difference, or Kirby Dach having a fully healthy season, if it happens, could make the biggest difference, or Zach Bolduc could be a really great physical guy. It comes down to Ivan Demidov and whether he comes in and is able to put up those kind of points he said. If he even gets 55, 60 points, that's a very successful rookie year. And, like, so anyway, there's so many things there. I'm going to end this poll here because I want to dive into the D-core a little bit further. I know we touched on it, but yeah, like, I think we're both on pretty much alignment. Like, I'd love to hear some thoughts for your guys' point predictions down below. How many points do you think, who do I even pick? I'll put a poll. How many points do you think Ivan Demidov is going to get? Let's see, start a poll. How many points will Demigod get this year. And so I'm going to just toss this in chat, and we're going to put a few ranges here, and we're going to put, let's say, what do we set as the baseline? 50 points? Because I feel like that seems like if he gets less than that, hey, maybe it'll be a disappointment. We'll say sub 50. We'll say 51 to 60. We'll say, yeah, this works. 61 to 70 and 70 plus. I think that's a nice little range there. We'll see what the fans say. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff here. I want to jump back to the chat too. Frank saying, my hot take, Monty has a down year. Oh, interesting. I don't mind it as a take, but Jesse, again, like we said, with the goalie scenario right now, I feel like if Monty is gonna have a down year, which I don't anticipate happening, I think we have a really good backup system in the wings, and Dobesh, and who knows, maybe we even have an NHL capable guy in Kaiden to steal a few games if Monty's on a cold streak, which I think it'll help that Monty plays less games this year. What do you think about that?
For me, I don't think that we're going to see like a much worse version of Monty. And that being said, I don't like expect next year to see like a way better version of Monty. Yeah. Like what we're kind of seeing right now, like is kind of what we're getting. He's starting to come into his own, get that structure as a goalie. And for me, I'm okay. And again, the reason why I'm saying this is, again, ranked above, a guy like Andrei Vasilevskiy in terms of goals saved above expected over the last 3 years. Like he's really consistently proven that. And again, when you're looking at like an Ottinger or Vasilevskiy, he's ahead of. Obviously, he's been on a much worse Habs team. Some of those stats are still obviously taking that into account somewhat, but I think it still deserves to be said of how tremendously young this decor was not very long ago whatsoever. So I think that he's getting in a perfect opportunity right now to get a little bit of a break as his decor gets a little bit older and better. That being said, nothing is kind of guaranteed when we're coming to a year. There's a lot of parity in the NHL. It's very tough, but I really believe in Monty coming into his own. Again, Eric Raymond has mentioned that structure and that consistency that he kind of goes to now. He has that baseline of like, he just knows what works and he's always kind of goes back to that. So for that reason, I don't see too much variance in his game, which will really allow the Habs to kind of know what to expect from their goalkeeper every night, which I think is going to be huge from them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you know what else is going to affect that? It's the improved decor. As much as, some people are like, oh, Dobbs is an offensive defenseman. You can't deny that our decor is getting better. And like losing David Savard, losing him, retired, but like he was good defensively, but a lot of the advanced metrics did not love him. And because, he didn't move the puck super well. And, in this final season, he couldn't get around the rink as well as he could in his younger years. And that's very fair, right? He blocked a ton of shots, but so does Noah Dobson. And I think like just straight up having more offensive firepower, like you said, Jesse, like so many times, like we're going to be busy playing offense, right? Like so many times last year, we would get hemmed in our own zone for a lot of time. And then when we got in the offensive zone, it felt like that sustained pressure wasn't always there. Whereas this year, I think we're going to have a lot more sustained pressure, leading to other teams having less opportunity to hem us in our own zone. And I still think, the defense could maybe use some work, and we'll see, but these guys are still developing. And having our decor that we do, Hutson, Dobson, Matheson, Guhle, Xhekaj, Carrier, and Struble. Struble, once he's signed, of course, that is still not resolved yet. Still an RFA. Gonna go to arbitration if they don't come to an agreement. But, like, right now, like, man, there's so many opportunities here for this team just to be better in front of Monty. Dobson's still going to block shots, and he's going to play like nearly 25 minutes a night, I have to imagine. Cayden Guhle has always been fantastic at blocking shots. He blocked 124 in just 55 games this year and had 104 hits. I think the improvement from Guhle, and I think I get a full season of him ideally, I think Dobson's going to blow people out of the water with how good his defense actually looks, even though he comes with mistakes. And when we're talking about the decor, this to me, Jesse, is the clearest improvement. Not only are we getting a second season of like a Lane Hutson that now has playoff experience, that you can't just discount that. That is real. That is very important. You're adding one of the best right-hand shot defensemen in the league in Noah Dobson. You're getting, again, hopefully a full season of a young Cayden Guhle who's still 23 years old. And now Mike Matheson, who was still good last year, is in a reduced role, who I think it'll help him shine even more. Plus Struble and Xhekaj, again, getting that experience, getting older. I feel like this, as much as Demidov is going to affect the offense, I think the defense is going to surprise people this year with how effective they are. And I think this is really going to be one of the key points as to whether Montreal is as successful as last year.
Again, those prospects coming to their own, we can't underestimate the fact of having a Cayden Guhle on our team, even though we don't see it all the time on the scoreboard. This is a guy that just helps you win hockey. Mm-hmm. But can we just say here, and I'd love to hear from our viewers, like in the comments, like, if Slav scored, let's just benchmark it right now, set the timestamps. Like, if Slav scores 30 goals this year, the Habs are making the playoffs. It just plain and simple. Like, I'm just going to set that as a correlation where we'll need to kind of come back to that. If he's able to hit that feat, I think not only is this like a team that's making the playoffs, Josh, but that's a team that looks mean in the playoffs. Like, having a Slav that can score 30 goals, have to be imagined involved physically, but then he's putting in the back of the net, let alone the other guys like Demidov and Suzuki and Caufield that you have to kind of worry about there. That's kind of the X factor. That's what I really want to see, if like Slav can kind of come into his own, how he frees things up for Caufield and for Suzuki as a result from there on the ice as well. I just think it's just going to have a huge impact. And again, make this not just a team coming into the playoffs, but like a team that looks like they can make some noise once they do.
Yeah, for sure. And like, again, if he starts hot, like, who knows what the league is in for? Because again, watching all the plays, like when he was on making his best plays, especially in the second half of the season, like it just felt like other teams kind of couldn't stop him. He just creates plays out of nowhere, winning these board battles, poking the puck away, using his body. He's finally learning to do it, right? Like slowly but surely. And it's unbelievable to watch. I think he can make such a big difference too. And I thought there was something really nice by Mark or in chat as well, Jesse, to go back to the decor. So we have a decor that is better at making that first pass to transition to offense than we did last year. And that to me is huge, because Lane Hutson is the offense, right? He takes it and he just kind of goes. Dobson, fantastic at making transition passes. And if you've seen him in transition, he can take the puck and go too. A lot of his points came that way, right? But also, David Savard, again, he liked to flip the puck out a lot. But now this year, again, having Dobson, having Hutson, having hopefully a full season of Guhle, escaping our own D zone is going to be a lot easier. I thought that was a really good point. There's so many good things here. Like, we got Frank Thibault. Again, Jesse, he doesn't have him at 30 goals, but he has him at 75 points, 29 goals. Again, like, I feel like Slav is a big wild card, because I think you're right. If he gets 30 goals, holy crap, this team, like, who is stopping this team if this dude's a 30-goal menace? And I think it's absolutely realistic, right? So it's going to be awesome. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff here. We got Vision Montreal, the new channel member. We'll have a good offensive defense on each pairing. It's always going to be dangerous with Dobson, Matheson, Hutson. Assume they'll all be on 3 different pairings. The other team can never sleep, because every single line is going to have some kind of offensive threat. I still think Mag Matheson is a decent offensive threat. Like, the dude is still such a smooth skater that he's one of the smoothest skaters in the league. I'm just going to say it. Sorry, I like Matheson. But yeah, awesome stuff. Ethan saying, I think Demidov will push Slav to have a better season. I think that's true too. Having a guy on his tails or his coattails, Slav's going to be like, I need to prove myself, True. It's going to happen. Yeah. But there's so many ways this team is improved, and I cannot wait to see next season. This is unbelievable. Tony Cruz, Mr. Excited, I guess, me and Captain Smiley. Tony, 2C Tony. Tony, great to see you as always. Fantastic to have you here. How's it going? Great video as always. Hoping we can get into a nice video call with you soon, Tony. Jesse, we got to get the channel member video call coming. Oh, great to see Tony. I can't wait to talk to him. AS saying, hey, from Placentia. Oh, what's up, AS? Placentia. Look, I got the Argentia Ferry back a few weeks ago, so I drove near Placentia. I guess not into Placentia, but hello from St. John's. But look, Jesse, we're talking a lot about all this stuff. I think it's time we talk about Lane Hutson. Yeah, this new thing. What do you think?
We got to. It's our boy.
We got to, because like right now we're talking about the effect of the decor, but there's a very interesting part about Lane Hutson now, and nope, not that. This. So saw this tweeted from Joel, Rise from the Ashes, and I could not find the original Grant McCagg quote. So if someone could find the original Grant McCagg, I'd appreciate it. And so take this with a grain of salt for now. But Lane Hutson's dad, Rob, apparently told him that they are practicing taking backhand passes really hard at Rob's rink in Chicago. This implies that the Hutsons believe he could be playing right D on his offside. A lefty on the right, the backhand is key. So on the one hand, this could mean that. On the other hand, he could just be practicing backhand passes because, why not? But yeah, of course, if he's taking backhand passes, that would imply, that he would have to take them in game, which would mean he's playing on the right side. And again, when we look at this here, whoa, actually, Jesse, before we get into this, we got another super chat coming in from 2C Tony himself, Tony Cruz, $50 with no message. Tony, unbelievably thankful for your support for the show. That is so generous, kind. I mean, assume it's for Lane Hutson. Jesse, unbelievable. The support that not only Tony, but the whole fans have been showing for all these streams in the off season it's unbelievable. It made me kind of lose my breath for a second.
No, Tony, you are the 2C. Hang up the phone. We found him right here, right in the Habs Digest community. But of course, no, we do appreciate. Of course, like obviously our old fans, our newer fans, like that's what's nice about kind of sharing the love and the community growing and even getting to meet some new people. Like that's what keeps it fun, right? Obviously, and the world's a small place. Obviously, just getting to really get to meet each other. And we really, really do appreciate the support, Tony, so much. We can't tell you how much it means to us.
As Tony drops another 50. I mean, Tony, thank you. I mean, this, like,
Thank
again,
you so much, Tony.
You guys know this kind of stuff, this goes straight into supporting us to continue doing this show every day, doing these streams every single week. Guys, everyone leave some love for Tony. Just leave your chats for Tony. Like these messages, because this is, like, again, I don't think you guys understand how much that means to us to not only see that kind of support, but to, like, again, like we say a lot, like, to actually just to help us do this every single day, every single week. We never lack the motivation, but like to be able to see that you guys are supporting us this way, it's just fuel to the fire. It helps us, improve the equipment, improve the production value, and it's unbelievable. This is awesome.
It really does. It warms our heart. And again, it's that community and really something that, that we're building in this community here. But as a team, as a result, you guys are just kind of showing that why the Montreal Canadiens have the best fans in the world. And obviously we get to see that every single day. And that's why it's just honestly such a pleasure. But we do appreciate this because as you know, it's, Josh is studying, I'm working full, like this isn't our only gig of what we're doing here. So the support obviously, means so much to us and we truly do appreciate it.
Yeah, seriously, like for after, a day of work or study to come here and do this, we love doing it. It's our favorite part of the day. And again, to see this is amazing. Thank you, Tony. Tony simply saying, okay, got to go back to work. LOL. Have a super night.
You're the best, Tony.
You're the best. I mean, it's absolutely going to be a super night. I mean, you know what? Here we go. This is just sending this. This is unbelievable. Thank you, Tony, for the super chat. Hope you have a super night as well. Tony looking to steal Slaf's spot, says Joseph. Tony might be promoted from 2C to the first line at this rate. This is unreal. Yeah, so that is unbelievable. So hard to transition away from that, obviously. But we're gonna try our best to. Thank you, Tony. Everyone knows Tony's marks left on this stream. But when we're talking Lane Hutson, Jesse, there's a lot of people like this is just kind of the depth chart that we came up with, and I don't think this necessarily reflects the D pairings per se, because it's just kind of like, Guhle has played, I think, more right-hand D than a lot of these other guys have, which is why we had him on the right D spot with Dobson and Carrier. As we're looking towards next season, I think we're kind of right in the sense that I think Hutson, Dobson, and Matheson will all be on 3 different pairings. And to know that Hutson has taken reps on his offside, do you think this could mean Hutson can have a new D partner this year? Because if he's taking reps on his right side and he is playing right D, I don't really see him with Matheson. I think he could play with Guhle, but we know Guhle's played a bit of right D. Maybe we get Guhle back to his natural spot. And then if he does play with Struble was playing the right side this past year a lot, though Hutson they kind of flip-flopped. What do you think this means if the plan is for Hutson at least to prepare to play right D this year? Because I'm not sure what the pairings would be in that case.
It's very interesting. Again, Hutson, we just have to assume he's a top pairing guy. And with that, I'd actually have Matheson with Hutson. If this is kind of true, if they're saying that he's going to play right-hand D, I think knowing Lane Hutson, he's always practicing all types of stuff all the time, creative. So I don't think we necessarily have to pencil him exactly at the right D, but it makes sense that they want to have some options. He's shown that he can kind of do it all here going forward. But if we are assuming that he's going to play right-hand D, that needs to be on the top pairing, I think we need to put minute munching Matheson right there beside him on that top pair. That being said, I really would like a defensive guy for like that whole situation there. But again, it's very interesting to see how this plays out, right? Because Matheson, Hutson, then the second pairing that would lead you to think obviously Guhle, Dobson, and then that leaves Carrier on the right-hand side on that third pairing with a very interesting battle between Xhekaj and Struble just to get a spot on this lineup. So again, going to be very interesting to see how this plays up. Matheson plays a lot of hockey. Like, it's hard for me if he is with the Montreal Canadiens of not being on the first, like he's going to be on the first 2 pairings. Yeah. And if he's not playing with a Dobson there, it kind of would very much make sense for him to be with Hutson on the first. Again, it's very interesting. Obviously, we want somebody that can keep up with our boy Lane on the ice. I want maybe a little bit more of that defensive game. But I got faith in Kent Hughes. I feel like this is kind of a fluid situation here going forward. Lane can obviously do it all. I would just love to see a world though where Guhle's like playing his natural side. Now that we have that depth, we brought in a Dobson. Like we have no more excuse. Like get Guhle onto that left-hand side. Hutson, I mean, he can just kind of do it all from there. We probably don't need to worry about him too much. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes up going forward.
Yeah, like, I feel like I'm more comfortable with Hutson on the right side just because, like, I feel like every time he touches the puck, he does something amazing, right? Like, it doesn't matter where he is on the ice. He can read it well enough that I'm not really worried about mistakes that might come with that. And we also see Mark Orr saying, I think at least one forward and one D-man from Laval forced the Habs management to move someone out to make room because they will steal a place. Ooh, that's interesting, Mark. And, you know, we might revisit that in a little bit as we talk about the trade article that we're going to get to. But I think a lot of people here, some people are saying Matheson, Dobson. I just think, Jesse, Guhle, Dobson, I think you're right. That just makes so much sense to me, right? Like, it feels right? Noah Dobson, 6'4", offensive defenseman with solid defense. Kaiden Guhle, he's 6'3". Like, I feel like people treat him like he's smaller than he is. He is 6'3". He's physical. He blocks shots. And he is a great skater, especially backwards, right? We've seen so many times him make up for mistakes of his partner, whether it's Matheson or whoever throughout his whole career, right? Like, this guy, he played 21 minutes a night this past year. Him with a Noah Dobson that played 23 minutes a night, Lane Hutson who played 23 minutes a night, Matheson who played 22. Jesse, is it crazy to say we have 2 first pairings? Because I think for a lot of other teams, Lane Hutson, Mike Matheson, if that's the pairing they go with, which would be an insane offensive pairing, that would be a lot of teams' first pairings. Noah Dobson, Kaiden Guhle is like the perfect match for 2 guys, and that would also be, I think, a lot of teams' first pairing. And I think part of me is just like, wow, that's kind of crazy because like now we can also mix and match if we need to, depending on the situation, and also just deploy one pairing more than the other, depending on the situation of the game, because we legit might have we kind of have 2 first pairings right now on this team, and I feel like that's I'm just almost like realizing it now, like as I'm saying these pairings out loud. Like teams would dream to have our second pairing higher up on their team.
For sure. And you have to feel like seeing Hutson and both Dobson out on the ice, I feel like, again, can be that nuclear option that you can go to. Would be very interesting because, again, pure merit based, those are your 2, like if we're just talking your best left-hand defenseman and your best right-hand defenseman. That is Hutson and Dobson there. That being said, you might want to kind of share the love, really kind of offensive guys there. I love Hutson and Carrier, which for me, again, we're not trying to come down on Matheson. It's just the way like the cookie crumbles here is that I like Hutson and Carrier, their numbers the analytics were good. I mean, Hutson and Struble, like anybody, Hutson would just basically elevated their game. But that for me makes sense as like a quasi first, second pairing. I would even though I love Matheson, I would feel so much comfortable icing a Hutson and a Carrier. Just that a little bit more of that balanced approach, I think, throughout. And then you're having kind of a first pairing and a second with Carrier and Hutson, and then Guhle, Dobson, where you're balancing the offense and defense, where both guys can bring both, but they're still, they know their roles within those different kind of assignments there, and would really play accordingly. Again, it just makes it really exciting because we have so many offensive players, like forwards, to be excited. But then you just think of like the D-men that are going to be linking these plays kind of going together. And I mean, that's what just like from just a pure like, like entertainment value. Like I think the Montreal Canadiens are just going to be absolutely dynamite for that next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's going to be unbelievable. And I got a poll up in chat right now. I tried to bring the lineup back on. Let me try this again. Is it just not working? Oh yeah. Oh boy. Oh, this is happening again. The hotkey stopped working, but you know what? We can make this work. But yeah, I put up a poll. Who is going to be Hutson's D partner this year, Jesse? And you can only put 4 options, which kind of limits me to really 3 and other, because I feel like we could put everyone, right? It's like, I feel like Xhekaj is not going to be likely. Struble, I think, could be, like really could be, right? Because they played so well together last year. The Guhle is a real one. But you know what's funny? Right now, Carrier is leading the poll by kind of a lot. Like Alex Carrier, 38%, Matheson 26%, Dobson 10%, other 26%. And like other also constitutes Kaiden, Guhle, and Jayden Struble, and of course Arber, Xhekaj, and like those could all be realistic partners too. Really, really interesting. We'll let that roll for a bit, see what you guys end up saying. But yeah, some fantastic takes there right now. But Jesse, we got to get into the final thing right now, and this is the one that, look, it's a bit controversial. And you know, we heard the news about Xhekaj, who was a pretty high draft pick by Columbus, a bit of a surprise draft pick when he was drafted. But look, he's a nice young Russian winger who has a lot of talent, and there have been reports out of Columbus that he is on the block. And if none of these buttons are working right now. We're going to try this. There we go. Canadiens should consider trading for Blue Jackets Xhekaj from William Bourget. With the NHL offseason still simmering, teams continue to explore opportunities to bolster their rosters. I'll link this article. It is linked down below if you want to go check it out. Have a read. It is really interesting. One name recently surfaced is Xhekaj. He's requested a trade. The Blue Jackets aren't rushing to trade him. The door is open for teams to make a fair offer. Here's Aaron Portzline saying that he wants to be traded. They've had trade talks. There's some people saying he's threatening to go back to the KHL. Don't know how true that is. But he's not going to accept just the best offer to appease Xhekaj. We'll only move him if he gets an acceptable offer. Expectation is that he'll be at training camp. And if we take a look at his stats, Jesse, I mean, best abilities, availability. He's had a bit of injury, but a lot of time spent down with the Cleveland Monsters. 15 points in 30 games this year. I just look at this and I think, who on this roster would he take? Like, whose spot is he going to take? If you trade for Xhekaj, you would have to trade a roster winger because this dude isn't a center. You'd have to trade a winger that's on the team now to make room for him. Or you would have to trade for him just to put him in Laval, which I feel like isn't the right move here. Maybe I'm crazy and, like, you know, getting a good Russian winger to bring him in with Ivan Demidov and Alexander Sharovsky coming up is never that bad an idea, but I just don't see the fit here with Montreal as much as some fans seem to want him.
This is a player that does have talent, but again, if we're just looking at the man's games lost, both in the NHL and the AHL, the production, again, isn't probably quite where we want to be. He's still young at 24, but again, it's growing quickly where, like, for this Habs team, we only got so many spots to give out. If this was this young C, again, maybe that's another conversation, definitely more of a need. But yeah, I definitely feel with the Montreal Canadiens, they're going to be selective. Kind of going forward. They only have so many spots, and obviously with some prospects, they're going to want to keep some spots to also motivate them down the road here as well. I think my biggest takeaway though with Xhekaj, I would need to pass, even though he's a player that stands out whenever you're watching Columbus Blue Jackets games, is that there appears to be a little bit of blood and water in the Columbus Blue Jackets locker room. This comes a lot to potentially, it seems to be around a disagreement with Coach Edmundson. Over in Columbus there. So again, this is a team that we were competing with right to the wire here to make the playoffs here. And again, we know we're not trying to just say that Columbus has a huge issue in terms of that, but throughout the organization, whether it's GM, there has been some issues over the last couple of years here where we see in Montreal, we're not having those problems so much. The culture is really healthy. It's really good. Are there some players we still maybe want to get a little bit more out of? Yes, that's a work in progress. We knew that ahead of time, really par for the course right now. So again, I think it just really speaks to that solidarity that the Montreal Canadiens have, that good environment where we can really produce, you know, prospects at a rate where they're both happy, and that the Habs are also happy with their production as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I just I don't see a world where we could be happy with what Xhekaj gives us, right? And like again, trading for a guy who's talented is like never really a bad idea. But the last thing you want is for him to be unhappy in the new destination. And while Montreal does have a culture of making our players happy, like I could see this happening, but only if we make another move that kind of dilutes our forward core. Like if we make a move that involves trading away like Josh Anderson and Mike Matheson in order to get like a 2C, and then you kind of have a wing hole, it's like, I could be Joshua Watt. I don't mind a move for like a guy who's already a bit proven in the NHL like a Xhekaj. In that case, you know, it'd be okay. But if the plan is just to put him in Laval and like, oh, maybe like, you know, like I don't get it. Like he's not stealing Anderson's spot. He's not stealing Gallagher's spot. And those are our two fourth-line wingers, really. And it's like, you know, I don't really get it because those guys are not coming out of the lineup. But I wanted to go into some of the stuff that they said in this article to just kind of go over, you know, what some of the takes are. And, you know, William says that Xhekaj has the tools to immediately slot into a middle six role. Maybe. He sort of did in Columbus. But really, like, again, our middle six right now, just to remind everyone, our middle six wingers, middle six, are assuming that Jake Evans plays center and Joe Veleno is our fourth line center. That is assuming Jake Evans is the 3C, okay? Our middle six wingers are Ivan Demidov, Patrick Laine, Alex Newhook, and Zachary Bolduc. And I'm like, is he really going to be a middle six winger? Anyway, that's just what I wanted to get into. But, you know, if things click, yes, he could be higher in the lineup. And they go on to say that, where is it here? Do I have it? Yeah. For Montreal, the most straightforward package could be a mid-level prospect and a mid-round pick. The question is, like, would a mid-round pick and a Sean Farrell, like they suggest here, even be enough to land a Yegor Chinakhov? Like, the problem is, I think Columbus, they lost a lot of leverage. They're not going to trade him for nothing. But if that's the cost, like a mid-round pick and a B-level prospect for Chinakhov, I don't think it will be. I think teams will offer higher. It's hard to say, like, oh, I wouldn't do that just based off pure value alone. But then again, like you said, Jesse, keeping our guys happy and giving them the opportunity to succeed is something that we've really done a lot here in Montreal. And I just feel like that kind of goes against what we're trying to build in a way.
And again, we don't know completely what the reasons are between the dispute between him and the coach. That being said, it's never the best look when you're having that type of issues. Obviously, considering like the amount of depth that we're just having in the organization right now, we like our young guys like Beck, like happening as well, and really what they can do at that next level. And it'd be interesting to see them get their opportunity. I know some people have kind of forgot about Joshua Roy already. I'm curious to see what he could do at the NHL level. I think this is really going to be make or break. Can he establish himself as a dangerous player? Again, like some of these guys could be those little X factors that a little bit further down the lineup that we don't really expect, that really make all the difference for this team once some injuries happen and still having that depth and it's really that next man up attitude. It's just so nice, Josh, where we can kind of turn our nose up at what is still a pretty good prospect. Like he plays a type of game that would really suit Montreal really well. He's got a lot of speed, but it's just kind of maybe, you know, leaving Columbus for maybe not the best reasons. There's also coupled with like production not exactly where we want, injury trouble. Like we're looking to turn a page from all these things kind of going forward. So I just don't think it's quite aligned with our vision. That being said, he's a talented prospect. We got some of the most depths in all of the NHL right now, and then obviously a lot of talent in that top six to top it off. So that's probably the only reason why now in our rebuild where we can maybe pass on these type of players.
I agree, and Jack does make a very interesting point. We actually have their second round pick next year, so hey, maybe if they want to take it back, but I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, look, if this was Kent Johnson, I think I'd be, hey, let's throw a lot at him, right? That's a great guy, but no, yeah. Clearly he's not up for trade. But yeah, very interesting. Like I said, the title here is like, look. I feel like this just changes the way we look at it. Not just these trade talks. The fact that Montreal is like, Habs fans want everyone. And I love that because we're seeing how good this team is now. Lane Hutson could be switching positions. This team, like, just with the developments that we've had, looks completely different. And we absolutely love it. And the final poll there, 85% of people said they wouldn't trade for Chinakhov. I think we're on board with that. And guys, before we end it off, we're 11 likes away from 100. We'd love to hit 100. Thank you for joining, everyone. This was a fun stream, Jesse. I mean, some unbelievable support from Tony, from all the channel members, all of you in chat. Thank you for stopping by. Any final words, Jesse? I'm just excited. I want my fix of hockey. I know it's coming sooner rather than later at this point, but like I feel like I can't wait. I want to see our boys back on the ice.
We're ramping up, you know, and thankfully Demidov, guys like Hutson are just never leaving it. They're really putting in that work and in the off season, right? And this is their time where they're getting ready. They're kind of resetting. And obviously, you know, Kent Hughes is doing the same. He's kind of getting this team ready for that next chapter to be really ready once we hit that puck, once that puck drops for opening night, that this team is really ready to do some special things. Again, a lot of people kind of laughed last year when say like in the mix, it became a meme until it happened. Mm-hmm. And I just love that now the expectations, like we're just going to be a little bit more serious it's going to be less about the memes right from the get-go and about like winning hockey games really right from the beginning. So I'm just interested to see that next development. Obviously Ken's doing everything on his end. Then you got the players obviously doing their work in the offseason, which is so key. So, you know, obviously such a pleasure just covering how this is all coming together because it's really something special. We feel, and it's nice to kind of document this because once they get to this, you know, we feel like they can be that championship contending team. You know, all those steps that it really took along the way is really what they're doing right now, and it's just tremendous to see and to witness.
And it's incredible to be able to talk about it every single day and have you guys tuning into us who speak about this unbelievably special team that's going to be making a ton of noise next year. Super excited. We got Joseph Donovan saying, hip check that like button right into the bench. We cracked 100. Thank you so much. Mark saying, thanks for a great show, Josh and Jesse. Jesse. Keep the faith. Go Habs, go. Well, thank you so much, all of you, because that'll do it for this live episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, share it with your loved ones, your friends, your family, anyone that you know that might enjoy being a Habs fan, watching these videos. We got them coming every single day, all off season long. Don't you forget it. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.